Hi, everybody. Mitch Tanenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to talk about the challenges with certain online transactions. Specifically, there was an attack against DraftKings, the online betting provider for sports betting. And what's happened, what they're saying, we don't know what's happening, but what they're saying is some consumers had their bank accounts emptied as a result of an attack. The way the attack worked was that the attackers compromised their DraftKings account, changed the password, added two-factor authentication, which probably implies that these consumers did not already have two-factor authentication on their account, and then took their linked bank accounts, drew money out of the linked bank accounts into their DraftKings account. I assume they then bet and perhaps just withdrew the money to another account. The details are a little light, but the what this points out is really important. First of all, assuming you believe what DraftKings said, this is a password reuse attack, meaning that the passwords that were involved in this particular attack were stolen someplace else during some other attack, and then the attackers tried it just to see whether it would work or not. So, moral of the story number one would be don't reuse passwords, especially on websites that have access to your money. Number two, the fact that they were able to log in and change the password and add two-factor authentication seems to imply that the people didn't have two-factor authentication already. And the third thing is, the account had a linked bank account to it, the DraftKings account. This makes betting easy, which of course is what DraftKings wants, but it also puts the consumer at risk. Now, what DraftKings in their wisdom, as they try to spin this, said that they don't have any evidence that their system was hacked, and that certainly is possible. I can't argue with that one way or the other. And what they recommend people do is use strong passwords and two-factor authentication, which are good things, and don't share your password with other sites like sites that keep track of your bets, because those sites could get hacked and then your account would get hacked and then your bank account goes to zero. What other people have suggested is don't go off and link your bank account to your DraftKings account. So before we finish beating up on DraftKings, this really applies to any website which has a link to your bank account or has your credit card information. And there's certainly a convenience to letting those accounts go off and store that information. Some websites, once you put that information in, don't give you any way to delete it. Like Amazon, for example, if you put a stored credit card in there, there's no way to delete it. Others, of course, do. And this winds up being a security versus convenience conversation. Do you want to have to enter your credit card number or bank account number every time you go do something? My take personally is, if I don't know the reputation of the site and I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to keep things safe, which of course is what people thought was the case with DraftKings, but certainly, if you don't give them your bank account, or when they ask you, do you want us to store this information, your answer will be no. And that means the next time you log on to go buy something or whatever from that site, you're going to have to go enter that again. It's kind of your call. Do you want to deal with somebody emptying out your bank account? Is that more convenient than, say, having to retype your bank account number occasionally? I don't know. Up to you. To me, having to deal with somebody draining my bank account, that's pretty horrible. The other thing that got DraftKings in a bit of hot water with some consumers is, like many websites, they don't have any live phone support. So they say, well, you can log into the website and click on this menu item or that menu item or open a support ticket or whatever, but if the bad guys have changed your credentials, you can't do any of that. So the best you can do is send them an email, and they'll respond to it whenever they respond to it. You have to decide as a consumer what are your criteria for doing business with a company? And if a company doesn't match those criteria, then maybe you don't want to do business with them. For example, Amazon does do phone support. It's a little convoluted and hard to get to, but you can get to it. Um, and but other companies just don't do it. They don't have a phone number where you can do that. So, this is just, and this only affected, a small number of people. And DraftKings, of course, from a PR standpoint, says they're going to go refund everybody who lost money, which is smart on their part, because that's, the easiest way to go decimate their business is for people to think that their money is at even more risk than gambling provides. So they're going to make people whole, which is a good thing. They don't have any legal requirement to do that, but they're doing that, and they certainly have the funds to go do that. So that's not a problem. But this is much bigger than DraftKings. How many places on the internet do you have your bank account and credit card information stored? One of the things you can do is use virtual credit cards. A lot of places will do that. Some credit card companies will offer that as a service for free. There are other other services that offer that for a small monthly fee. The great thing about virtual credit cards is that you can turn them off whenever you want, and they literally are recyclable, instantly recyclable. And I use that a lot. I use it with a particular bank that doesn't charge me for it, so that from that part there's no downside to me. They even have a browser plugin for my preferred browser, which allows me to when I go to this website, it says, gee, log in to the bank, which I do. And then it says, do you want to create a virtual credit card? And I say, yeah. That to me is, pretty minimally inconvenient for a lot of protection. And I can turn those virtual credit cards on and off at will with no impact on anything else. One of the challenges is if your credit card gets compromised and you have to get a new credit card number, then everybody you've given that credit card number to, you have to give them the new credit card number. With virtual credit cards, you can turn off just one virtual credit card. Lots of information there, but I think the moral of the story, in particular with our buddies at DraftKings, and not to beat them up too badly, is that you need to be responsible for that, decide what you're going to do, and certainly consider the level of security you place on an account that has your bank account information or your credit card information. Make that a level higher than, say, your Twitter account. Now, I know everybody thinks their Twitter account is really important, but at one level, I guess if you run your business off of Twitter, maybe that's true. But for most of us, we're just live vicariously through watching our tweets and other people's tweets. Really has relatively minimal effect on us, and nobody's going to really want to go hack our Twitter account, at least mine, for sure, because there isn't anything valuable there. So anyway, if you have questions about that, please reach out to us. And until next time, please stay safe.
Turnkey Cybersecurity and Privacy Solutions offers the complete cybersecurity program for small to medium-sized